Hello and welcome to another episode of Temporary Australians. I'm Jonesy.
And I'm Hirsty.
And this is Mike. This is what we've got coming up on the show today.
Angry Anderson talks about his new role at Fraser Motorcycles. Jonesy checks out some old bikes and finds out how to have fun on one. Smithy from God Squad CMC offers some more relevant God stuff. We find out why the Mayor of Bathurst rode in the rain. 10 Sports Daryl Beattie talks about his favourite rides in Queensland. Pugsley, editor of Live to Ride magazine, shares some insights from his motorcycle experience. And we check out the newest motorcycle invention, a motorbike powered by compressed air. Rob Smith from Motorcycling Australia talks about personal responsibility. And we find out why a motorcycle stunt team calls itself the Team from Hell.
Mate, Angry, congratulations on the acquisition of your new machine.
Thank you.
On behalf of Fraser Motorcycles, so we see it fit that he's the right guy to get out there and fly the flag for Fraser Motorcycles.
Angry, you're now an ambassador for Fraser Motorcycles, and the burning question is, should we address you as Your Excellency?
Your sportyship, maybe.
That sounds good. Tell us what your role is going to be.
Well, I mean, obviously, Fraser's is, like what I said, you know, when I thought about getting a Harley Davidson, and I'd never ridden a Harley Davidson before, but I thought, well, you know, before my riding days are over, I want to get on a Harley Davidson. So the first name that popped into my head, because, you know, Fraser's is synonymous with Harley Davidson. It's like the home, if you like, you know, it's like the haven.
You'll be able to use the Fraser's involvement to benefit the causes that you're fighting for, but at the same time you'll also be promoting what they do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's face it. You know, like, I mean, see, there's a great legitimacy attached to Fraser's, and you know, there's a wonderful credential that comes along with that. So it's kind of like it's like an institution. So I mean, my association, and you know, I suppose laughingly, a lot of people might say I'm an institution, one that's outlived its time, possibly. But you know, so the two things come together, and I think we understand, and what we've entered into is a handshake agreement, which I've got to say, you know, that's again old school, which appeals to me. So the thing about it is that we both recognise the value of one another's brand, but we can do things like, you know, motorcycle safety, motorcycle awareness. I mean, we can certainly talk about men's health issues.
Let's talk about your motorcycling background. How long have you been riding?
I started out wanting to ride motorcycles because of Marlon Brando. So I remember I came out of school. I'm 64, so do the math. I come out of school at 16. I worked 2 years in a fitting shop. I was doing a fitting and turning apprenticeship. Saved up enough over 2 years to I bought a 60 model Thunderbird. So I was in my, you know, late teens, early 20s. I was an original member of the Vigilantes, and who went on later. We were an affiliated. We had letters on our jacket, affiliated motorcycle club, recreational motorcycle club. And then, of course, they became later on. They became a bona fide patch 1% gang, and. To this day, I'm still associated with them. I've sort of come back and been reassociated with them. But I left because of two things. I didn't like being smacked around the head as much as some other people. But music was drawing me away from motorcycles. So, plus the fact that by that stage I'd developed a problem with the drink. And I fell off a couple of times because shouldn't have been riding a motorcycle because I'd been drinking. And so it was, you know, the music pulled me away more and more. So, you know, let it lay for, you know, a lot of years. But, you know, I've kept in touch, and, you know, it's been, like I said, with with Rose Tattoo. our association with bikers and clubs and whatever over the years has been, it's been synonymous with the band. So I've always associated with bike, riders and clubs, and indeed I've been patron of the Vietnam Vets New South Wales chapter for must be 12 years, 13 years, something like that. A lot of years. I got the job in perpetuity.
We're with Ross McDermott right now at Breakfast Talk, and Ross, you've got something from 1912.
Yes.
Amazing.
1912 veteran Triumph.
Well, let's have a look at it, Ross.
Single cylinder, side valve Triumph, originally owned by Paddy Ryan from Ryan's Motorcycles in Parramatta. I bought it as a bit of a mess, restored it. It's done 2 veteran rallies so far. We have annual veteran rally every second year. Runs fine. This year I fouled a spark plug and that was it. And we rode in the rain, dry, didn't matter, just a very nice bike, but very, very different. Just a spring for the front suspension. Your only comfort is your rear seat with the springs on it. Very efficient to ride. I can ride on 3 litres of fuel and do 120 kilometres. Acetylene headlight, acetylene generator, no electrics for running the tail light or headlight. It has an acetylene tail light. If it has the magneto, which is down here, it runs, and it has fuel, it'll start. And just a very nice old motorcycle to ride.
And with today's speed cameras and stuff, how do you go working out your speed?
50 kilometres an hour is flat out, but I have a little digital speedo here. And I only use that because this bike doesn't have an oil pump like modern vehicles. You've actually got to pull the primer up and give it a dose of oil every 10 kilometres. But not much chance of me getting booked for speeding.
What happens if you forget to pull the lever up?
If you forget to pull that up and give it oil, it fails to proceed. It'll seize the motor.
So you blow it up?
Yes,
and
exactly.
What's something like this worth, Ross?
I suppose $25,000.
It's pretty cheap, really.
And getting dearer as it goes on. Another 12 months, another 2 months. When we go into 2012, it's going to be 100 years old.
Chicks dig motorcycles. Do chicks dig this?
My wife is a nurse, and yes, she does, but she won't hop on the back. I have a motorcycle with a sidecar. She gets in that. But yeah, she thinks it's great.
Well, I couldn't imagine you. Where do you sit?
Well, I have actually got another seat for the back of it, but it's not very good. I'm 100 kilos and she's lighter than me. It doesn't go very far with us both on it. Would you like to see it run?
Yeah, we'd love to see it run. It's like a ceremony.
Very much a ceremony.
It's so quiet I can hardly tell it's running.
And then you can quieten down a bit more. It has what they call a town and country exhaust system on it.
A town and country exhaust system. Do you ever worry about getting your leg caught in that belt?
No, I haven't, and don't remind me. I don't want. And then to stop the bike, whether it's braking or the engine,
that's it.
You decompress it.
If you immerse yourself in the culture, and you ride the machinery and you're part of the events and the lifestyle and you wear the colours, people do talk and they often do share what they think about God, and they often do ask questions. And I guess that'd have to be part of your history too. Many people in their search for God, you've actually been able to help them find a relationship with Christ and translate that into being motorcycles.
Yeah, well, the outlandish thing, if you will, opens up the conversation. Now, if the conversation starts and you talk, then it doesn't last long. I mean, there's one thing about any people in subcultures, whether it's the biker subculture or any other, one of the things that they're very good crap detectors. I hope that word won't, upset anybody, but they smell it when people are not sincere. Now, they might be insincere, that's different, but they can smell hypocrisy in others. So, you've really got to be serious about it. You've really got to be committed. It doesn't last for long. But it's an opening. And although you wouldn't think of Jesus perhaps sitting on a Harley Davidson, when you look at the way he did it, it was very congruent with the culture in which he was born. He was a wandering, wise man in the way that was popular to their culture. And the stories he told in an agrarian culture were mostly stories about farmers and sowing seed, because that was his setting. And so, to me, identifying with the culture is a sign of not just love, because you can love people in a kind of, how would you put it, condescending way. You're up there, but you only really can love people when, use the old saying, you walk a mile in their shoes, when you sit in their place.
Greg, very impressive that you rode here in the rain today.
Yeah, it was great to be actually get out back on the bike again and get out and in the fresh air. It was fantastic to have the rain hitting me in the face, and as I was riding up here, it was fantastic. So, yeah.
Is that your bike or did you have to borrow it?
Nah, it's not my bike, unfortunately. I wish. It's a good friend of mine, Ellie Issa from Ellie's Cafe. It's his hog, and he was kind enough to lend it to me to do this shoot today with you. And yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had a bike for a while now since the family come along. So it's been a while since I've been on a bike, but yeah, come straight back, I can tell you.
Tell us a bit about your background on bikes, mate.
Yeah, look, just a recreational rider really. When I was a young fella, so back when I was 18, I managed to go and get my motorcycle licence and had a motorbike, and graduated off my P's and sold the motorbike to buy a bigger or a larger motorbike, because we were limited to 250cc. So, and in that process met my wife, and unfortunately that's where she pretty much stopped the process. So, but I was passionate, followed the racing scene fairly closely when I was doing it. Not much of a dirt biker personally, but more of a road cycle.
Well, Jonesy will be very impressed that you rode here in the rain, but I'm impressed you don't have a helmet hair problem.
Yeah, no, definitely no helmet hair problem, probably no hair problem at all, doesn't frizz, doesn't do anything bad, so yeah, it's good. But it was great to be out there. Like, to ride in the rain is absolutely fantastic. I know there are dangers associated with that and you've got to be careful, but there's no better feeling than actually having the rain, pitter-patter on the face, and away we go.
My dad lives at Mount Tamborine in Queensland, and I have one of my bikes up there as well. So, so many great areas for us, as we all know as motorcyclists, to go riding. But yeah, I love it up there because I know it so well. I've got different rides I call 2 peaks and 3 peaks over all the different mountains around the area. But I really enjoy it. There's not much traffic around midweek, and it's a really nice ride. Around Sydney, I don't do as much in Sydney. I mainly use my scooter here, but some of the rides I do with journalists on bike rides and bits and pieces are all up through the Putty Road and up the old Pacific Highway. Some of those loops are nice loops. I think for me more so, it's if I had to ride on my own, I don't think I'd enjoy it anymore. But being able to go ride with 5 or 10 really close mates and camp somewhere for the night on rides like that, it's fantastic.
I'm talking to Miles Rangeley, editor of Live to Ride magazine. Miles, how did you start in the motorcycle scene?
Oh, just like everyone says, riding bikes from a young age, and my father actually raced in the Isle of Man. He reckons he didn't do too well, but even to race in the Isle of Man was quite amazing for me to hear about that. So yeah, from a young age, rode dirt bikes and then got onto the road bikes, and then the rest is history, mate.
Well, how did you get a job in Live to Ride?
I love journalism. I did a journalist course, so my claim to fame is the only journalist to go through the ranks of Live to Ride magazine at all. So that was the first thing I did, and then I saw the advertisement in the paper, and the rest was went in, did the job interview, and it was actually between Revs and Live to Ride magazine, and yeah, I ended up getting put on Live to Ride magazine.
So how long have you been with it now?
Well, nearly 2 decades, 19 years.
You don't look that old, mate.
No, I started when I was 3. No, but definitely part of the furniture now, but it's been a good ride so far.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes just recently, haven't they? Moving from News Limited to Express?
Yeah, it was quite a big change actually. We've been with News Limited for that probably from the inception of the magazine as such, and then we got told we'd be working at Express Publications the week later. So in the end it was quite a lot of turmoil, but we've gone through it, and we've now got a much better publication. It's bigger, we've been doing DVDs, we've got a website going now, online newsletters, so it's been positive.
Now, Two Wheels came across with you as well. Have they found it as positive?
Yeah, same thing. They were looking at doing some DVDs as well, and their magazine's going along in great leaps and bounds. And it's a company that really wants to get behind the magazines. They're niche titles as such, but no, they're really taking them places, both magazines. It's good.
This is a proof of concept prototype. It was designed by a guy called Dean Benstead from RMIT as part of his final year engineering or design, industrial mechanical design course. It grew out of the motorcycle design studio run by Simon Curlis at RMIT, where the brief this year was to design a powered two-wheeler around the Angelo Di Pietro air engine, which is an engine that runs on compressed air. So it's quiet, it's clean, the only emission is oxygen, there's no combustion, so fresh air goes in, fresh air goes out.
The idea is we're running a standard 18-litre scuba tank, which is regulated down to about 100 psi before it enters the motor. Now the motor, its principle is a rotary vane air engine. So to operate, this is a proof of concept motorcycle.
Yep.
So basically, to operate, we're opening up.
That allows the air to flow through to the rotary.
Flows through to the regulator, and there's a standard throttle control,
yep.
Which is a ball valve, in essence. And the more the valve opens up, you can see the more power you get. It's fairly low tech in its principles, but it's just been packaged in a way that's accessible to people to use this air.
So where does it connect to the motor?
When the throttle's open, the air runs down this line and enters the rotary vane motor, and it's 98% efficient, so the exhausted air expelled out the other side basically. And there's no gearbox, so it's a direct drive off this shaft, chain drive to the rear wheel. Yeah.
Have you taken it for a ride?
We've done a little bit of testing, nothing off-road yet, but we've tested it in the factory where we've done, and we've done stationary testing that says it can do 140 kilometres per hour. And with this current setup, we're looking at about a quarter of an hour range, but if we look at then using a carbon fibre cylinder, we can pump it up to about 400 bar potentially, and then we're looking at the potential of running it for an hour and being competitive with the electric bikes that are currently on the market, and that's where we really need to be for it to be a viable option. Yeah.
Do you think it'll ever get to the point where you can fill up the cylinder at your local garage?
No doubt. I mean, if you can get a solar panel and a compressor and you've basically got a refinery there on site, any scuba shop can fill it up today, but once the infrastructure's there, yeah, definitely it'll just be a plug and go situation.
Motorcycling Australia is a controlling body for motorcycle racing in the country. Is it a bit unusual that they've got a riders division now, a road riders division?
Sure, I mean this is something that has actually been on the boil for about 6 to 7 years. I recently took over as manager, but we're kind of repositioning the organisation a little bit now, and we're trying to make it more of a resource for riders by including products such as rider training, club affiliation so they can access our public liability, and a brand new roadside assist program that helps people who break down anywhere in Australia.
Now, you've used the opportunity down here to announce a new initiative in rider training.
That's absolutely right. We've just launched the Ride Craft rider training program. We call it an advanced rider training program, but really it's for anybody, whether they hold a learner permit or a license. If they're out there riding on the road, then just about everybody can benefit from defensive riding skills. And we're really about creating defensive riders. And while that might not sound terribly sexy and compared to things like riding really fast around the track or braking hard or swerving, this is about being proactive on the road, and we want to give people the opportunity to develop those skills.
One last question just on the overall culture that the MotoGP and the World Superbikes bring to Phillip Island. By all accounts, it's had a really positive impact on the community. Do you think these events are doing a lot to enhance the reputation of the motorcycling community amongst the general public in Victoria?
Sure. I've been in Cowes for the last couple of nights, and one of the things that has really been a standout part of being in that community was the fact that there was just no trouble. And I think events like this are fantastic. And you know what? By having a national hero like Casey Stoner doing so well as he is and being out there, presenting motorcycling to the larger population, we all get to benefit from that.
Well, he's a good role model, there's no question of that, and that can only serve to enhance the general public's perception of us all, I guess.
Absolutely. Look, I think if we can all learn something from that, it's that, there's a lot to learn. And I'm very, very proud to be here today, and I hope everybody, well, I know everybody else is as well. Hey, there you go.
What sort of bike are we dealing with here that can do all these tricks?
This is a stock standard gas trials bike. It's a 300cc two-stroke engine. This model here is the Raga Special Edition. Basically means it's got a hyper bling on it. Obviously, the most obvious feature is the fact the bike doesn't have a seat, and this is how they come stock standard from the factory in Spain.
It's remarkable that you can use it in such a small space in the way that was done today.
That's it. That's the beauty of our show. We can perform in any size area. Basically, we do shows in main arenas, in country shows. We can also come here indoors in the arena at the Motorcycle Expo and perform in front of crowds only metres away.
Tell us, how did you learn to do all those tricks?
Lots of practice, just like everything. A lot of practice and a lot of hours on the bike, and riding with my mates. We're always pushing each other to learn new tricks. So that's how it's evolved.
So how old were you when you started?
4 years old when I first got my first motorbike, and then started trials at 6 and competed up till I was about 17, and then ever since then I've been doing the shows full time.
So with some of these somersaults that you're doing, what inspired you to do it? I mean, obviously there's a first time for everything, so how on earth did you do those backflips?
Just like everything, a lot of practice, and the way with the small backflips off the 45cm kicker, you can't really practice that into a foam pit like you can on the bigger ones. So that one I just had to go straight to dirt. But the bigger jumps, the first time I was learning them, into a foam pit, and then once I got them dialed on that, to dirt, and you just got to keep your practice up and keep them honed in.
So you were actually trained to do it by the sound of it?
Yeah. I went out to Matt Shoebring's place. He's one of the top freestyle riders in Australia, and Krusty Neiman and all that. So he went out there and used his foam pit, and he'd teach me how to do it and into the pit, and been doing it ever since. So that was about 4 or 5 years ago now.
So can you take us through the tricks that we saw today?
Yeah, we had all sorts of things from 180s, nose wheelies, as you said, backflips. I had the backflip over the fun box, which is 1.5 metre high ramp, and then off the 45cm kicker as well. And then we also got the grind box, so BMX style moves with the grinds and the 180s and 360s and that sort of stuff. And lots and lots of tricks.
Well, it's certainly crowd pleasing, and you must be thrilled, I guess, with the way the crowds have embraced what you're doing here.
Yeah, crowds have been awesome here at the Expo, been massive every show, so we've been doing about 7 or 8 shows a day, so I'm absolutely knackered, but as long as they keep cheering for me, that keeps me going, and keep the crowd entertained, so I'm having fun as long as they're having fun.
Okay, well, that was a great show, Jonesy.
Excellent show. Some of your best work, Greg.
Thank you, Jonesy. I thought you were great too.
I'm off to get a frappe. Take it easy, shiny side up. We'll see you next week.
See ya.